First got started off by you spelling your name for me.
Started living with my stepdad when I was about 3.
And now your stepdad, he comes in, sometimes he doesn't just rub your back.
Weird things happened to me at night. Continued to be abused for the next 7 years.
It always happened when I had shorts on.
When I was about 12, my mom came in the room and he was in the room as well. She started screaming at him. She took me to the police station, and that's where I started to speak about what had happened over the last 7 years.
Child sexual abuse happens to 1 out of 8 children in Tennessee and 1 out of 10 children in our nation.
We are interviewing over 80 cases a month.
Up to 80% of cases are not even being reported.
Having prosecuted these types of cases and having heard these children's stories, it's hard to go home and go to sleep.
I didn't know what sex was. Just the manipulation was very high. I was rewarded with candy and money and treats. I always felt like if I told, it would be a lot longer of a process, or that he would kill me, or that, even when he was in prison, I always was like, oh, he'll get out of prison and he'll murder me. He died a couple of years ago, and that's where I really started to come out of the woodworks and talk about this, just because I think it is really important.
When a child comes to the Child Advocacy Center, the first thing that happens is that they're believed. And the Child Advocacy Center conducts legally defensible forensic interviews of children, and those interviews are used in court, and their testimony is also used in court to aggressively prosecute offenders. A serial pedophile can have as many as 400 victims in their lifetime.
The forensic interviewers for the CAC, how good do they have to be and how good are they? They have to be good. How good are they? They're great. When you interview a child, if you're not careful, if you're not a trained forensic interviewer, you can sometimes suggest how that interview might go. They can't lead them. They cannot make a suggestion. They have to get the child to open up on their own.
We've learned so much, we've become so much more sophisticated, and we have so much more laws that back up these cases now that the success rate is tremendous.
Tell me your cat's name.
The CAC is currently housed in a building that is much smaller than their needs.
We have 14 employees and 8 desks. You can walk into our office today and there may be an employee sitting on the floor on a laptop doing their work. We have 2 forensic interviewers, but 1 forensic interview room.
Anytime a child has to wait to be scheduled means that that child possibly is going home to a dangerous situation.
They need office space for their darkness to light personnel. Darkness to light training is training for adults who interact with children on how to recognize the signs of physical or sexual abuse.
I think if there's not something like the CAC and there's not this kind of sounding board in a child's life, I don't know that I would have ever gone through, and I don't know that I would just have gone with the police and decided to do all these things. Today I have a chocolate company called Poppy and Peep Chocolate, and we make bonbons and confections that are playful and flavorful. And I also do interior design for hospitality and short-term rentals. I've just always been a creative entrepreneur and felt like that was an outlet for me to kind of be able to just heal.
I think most people think that because we're talking about crimes that happen to children, that the funding comes from the government. And they do receive funding from the government, but not for buildings and not enough to cover all of the operating expenses. Our children are watched. That means all of us need to be involved. So we are desperately looking for community partners who would come alongside with us and help us to raise funds or donate funds that we would be able to take and transform into the new Child Advocacy Center.